Screencast. Receiving your content. Your audience will see it in a moment. Let's move you over here. Put you over here. I am live. Did you get a notification? Nothing? Huh, nothing. Okay, whatever.
It might take a minute to get
That's
live
fine.
for me.
Let's go ahead and get into it. So, good evening, everybody. John here from Side Hustle Investing, and I'm going to lay down a little challenge for myself, and you guys are going to be my accountability buddies. For the next 30 days, I'm going to challenge myself. Let me clarify. For the next 30 calendar days, but only during trading days, I want to go live and use this as a platform for me to show you guys how I'm doing, what my process is, what my thinking is, and hopefully I can educate you guys on a couple things you might not be doing in your own trading. And also I hope to learn a couple things from you when you engage with me and kind of teach me something. And we'll go back and forth and let this relationship kind of start to bloom as I'm learning options trading. And if you guys are on the fence but have heard some of the hype about Tastyworks or some of the other platforms that are popping out there and starting to get a little nervous of a market crash or whatever is coming in this year in 2017 for us, hopefully this will be enticing for you so you can sign up, start your own account, and really get going in this wonderful world that I've discovered here. So the format that I want to do for these live chats is I want to start directly into my portfolio. And here's where I think I can be a little different. And one of the things that kind of makes me a little worrisome about the space that we're in here is that everybody sells you their solutions. They sell you their methods, but rarely do they actually tell you what their cash value is of their account. They don't. They'll say whether they're profitable or not on a trade, but you don't actually know if the big losers are wiping out all the gains they're making from all their profitable trades. And like I said before, I'm putting in just a starter amount of money for this position, and I'm not going to hide it from you guys. This is what's really going on, and the purpose of it is I would rather learn if there's something to this options trading openly and honestly where I can dispel any rumors. And also, if there's a problem with my methods, you guys can call me out and help me get better as well. But if this is all snakeskin oil, which I don't think it is, I truly don't. I feel like I'm rather discerning, and there are a lot of very, very high integrity individuals in this space. But hey, if we're all being duped, I'd rather you guys all find out with me and hopefully save you guys some pain and some money.
What's your background?
So if you guys haven't seen my previous videos, I grew up as an industrial engineer. Well, I studied as an industrial engineer. I'm really passionate about systematic mechanical processes. I studied a lot of how manufacturing works. And so from that, I just have this ingrained mentality where the best processes, the highest quality, the best results come when you can standardize and code out how your process is supposed to work. You know, I believe in repeatability. I believe in probabilities. I studied statistics for probably 10 years. So I know what I'm doing from a system standpoint. I can make you a checklist. Now, when it comes to trading, I have been studying trading for the better part of 4 years now. I don't claim to be an expert, but I do claim to be a quick study and one who is passionate about this space for all the reasons I just mentioned. So as we get into this, I just want to be hopefully a helpful guide where if I'm 1 step ahead of you, 2 steps ahead of you, that's great. That means I was most recently where you're at. And that means that the information I can give you hopefully will be at the right level, at the right way of discussing that you guys can learn from and hear from. So without further ado, I don't want to make these videos too long because I really want to create that engagement with you. So let's go ahead and get into it. So where I want to start these videos out, is just to go quickly to the dashboard. And I'm on Tastyworks web. And as I mentioned in a previous video, there's some features right now that are in Tastyworks I'm very confident will make it over to the desktop platform, but they're just not there yet. So during the day, I may pop into the desktop platform, which is up on the screen here now, but especially after hours when the speed of this incredible platform isn't quite needed, I like some of the features that are still in the web platform only. So start out with the dashboard view here, where you can see my probability of profit is sitting right now at 96%. My total extrinsic value is $268. So don't want to get into all of the math right now, but what this basically means is it has to do with how sorry about that, has to do with how the current beta weight of the S&P 500 is panning out. And beta weighting, just to give you guys, if this is your first time tuning in, it basically shows the expected move of the S&P 500 and how all of my positions down here stack up to this beta weighted portfolio. So if the S&P were to make a $1 move in the positive direction, if we look over to my delta, which is over here, 0.16, what that means is if the S&P 500 were to make a $1 move, then I would expect to make 16 cents in my overall portfolio. Some positions are going to go down, some positions are going to go up, but that's kind of the correlation that we would expect to see here. All right. So then once we've kind of gone through, I just want to make a graphical evaluation of how my portfolio stacks up. So as you can see, it's very neutral. It looks like one big iron condor, and that's by design. When I was first starting to populate my portfolio, here you can see I've got 4 positions. My goal was to stay as delta neutral as possible. And by only having it really active for a week now, by putting in neutral trades and not having some radical changes in the market during the week, that's what it looks like still. I do have one directional trade we'll get into as we go down the list. So so far, all in all, I don't see any real need. I like to follow the rule of thumb that it's very easy in terms of when would I consider my portfolio not neutral? And it comes down to this number here. So right now I have 0.16 delta. My overall net liquidating value of my portfolio is $10,012. So what I like to do is basically just remove everything behind that last comma there. So 10. So long as my delta, or so long as my beta weighted portfolio delta is less than or equal to plus or minus 10, I'm good. Now what that correlates to is a 0.1% of total net liquidation value of your portfolio can be allowed in your delta. And this is just a rule of thumb, but what's nice about it is that it scales with the value of your portfolio. So when your portfolio, for example, let me stop hitting that button. When your portfolio goes up to $100,000, you would expect to be able to scale your delta value allowed, because it's going to be much, much harder to maintain that 10 delta, as I will come to find out as I scale more into this portfolio. But with this, it's very simple. So here I would allow myself 100 portfolio weighted deltas, and to still consider myself neutral. It could be plus or minus. All right, so that's enough for beta weighting your portfolio for tonight. Let's go ahead and talk through the process here. What I want to do, just to kind of make myself feel good, is I want to start with my best winners by sorting the gain column here. So you see I've got winners that are up 32%, all the way down to one loser, which is down 6.2%. And we'll just kind of walk through what my process is, the reason why I got into the trade, as well as what my next steps are, what I'm looking for as far as management. So starting out, I've got one in Bristol Myers, and I'll go ahead and open it up. And you can see the probability of profit, 73%. It's a bullish trade because at the time that I placed it, I was about -4 delta or so. And so I placed a bullish credit spread, which is a put spread. So $2 wide. And you can see, I won't go through all the statistics every time. That's a little unnecessary. But what you can see here importantly is, as expected, my short strike is up some money and my long strike is down some money. And so right now it's just, there hasn't been as much time needed in this trade for it to decay away and for me to squeeze some of that juice out of the orange, as Jim says on Tasty Trade. But I'm not worried about it. We can look at the chart here and I'll expand it out. And let's go ahead and go to a 30-day chart, which is where we're at. So let's zoom out a little bit here. Let's go to a full year. So my thinking was, I see this massive gap down. I think this was when, I'm not a news follower, but I did kind of look up on this one. This was when there was a drug that was not approved. So there was a lot of expectation around that. So that came down, and then it's been on this kind of steady decline down, and trying to take a little contrarian approach there. As stocks move further down, the put value, the price of the puts tend to go up, which just makes sense. And as you can see here, it's at a very high 94 percentile of implied volatility. So I thought, great opportunity to go ahead and sell a put spread. That would be my first one in this platform and get some experience with it. And everything's kind of shaping up for a nice little contrarian play, because you see after an extended down move, it does have a nice little rally, hoping that would show itself here as well. So place the trade, and we'll go ahead and I think if I double click, it'll show you where we're currently at in this. Let's go ahead and edit this working order. So this shows the 45 days out till expiration. This is the March contract, and where the price currently is, and that orange shaded area here shows the current expected move in that 45-day period. So it's expected to move between $46 or so and $52.5. So that could test my my short strike. Sorry, it's got a little confusing here, because if you zoom in, you'll see I clicked on my working order. So the working order is obviously just the reverse of what my opening order was. To close it, I would buy this put, which I shorted to open, and I would sell this one, which would close out the one that I bought to open. Hello. Oh, there it is. So that one so far, not a whole lot to report out on, but that's the reason why I got into it. As I go into EWW, this is the Mexico ETF. This was one of my first positions I put in, so I had very little assumption on what's going to happen in Mexico. I'll keep my political opinions to myself, but looking at the chart here, it's been all over the place, but rather a little bit more range bound recently. So I went ahead and did a standard $3 wide iron condor, and right now this one is up 18%. Profit targets for both of these trades, and really for all these trades, are at 50%. So what that means is my extrinsic value over here shows $34, $52, $54, $129, for example. So take those in half, and that's what I set my working orders for to close them out. So here you can see I received This is a little interesting now, isn't it? So if I look at this, might be missing something. The trade was placed for 38. Why is the working order here at a 25-cent debit? Let's see if we can figure this out real quick. Because I placed it at a 50% winner. 25 cents. I must have received 50 cents on this spread. I think this is the current extrinsic value in the option, not the one that I originally received. And that would make sense given here that I've already made 32%. Okay, sorry. That's the current extrinsic value. This is the current percent of probability. It's not what I actually had when I opened it up. That was my bad. So, all right, moving on. Now going here into EWW, we mentioned that one already. It's my next biggest winner. Going down into TLT, again, very standard run-of-the-mill. It's an iron condor, $3 wide, neutral position with a close order already placed. So I don't have any real worry to do about this. If, for example, like right now, we're in a good position. If we look at where we're at in relation to the strikes, we're right there in the middle still. Hasn't moved a whole lot recently, so just keep watching it. But if it continues to march forward, we'll be able to talk through my adjustment process, but we'll leave that out until the time comes. And then I couldn't just let a nice low-priced underlying. So this one's a, let's see what the current price is of GDXJ, $37. So very low price stock. GDXJ is the gold miners ETF. So index it still is very volatile, but it's not like an individual stock. So if we look at the chart here, it's definitely had some move from between 20 to 50 back down to 37. Now it's kind of been sitting in this range for a little while. So I went ahead and made a neutral trade, but I wanted to, take advantage of the low price and of the fact that I have very few positions open. So I feel like I'll be able to watch them rather closely and be able to manage them. And all the research shows that at the end of the day, when you start to build up enough of a capital, that undefined risk trades really do have a lot of benefits over their defined risk counterparts. So if you guys are new to options trading, what that means is I'm placing a position here where I've got 2 strikes, but I don't have any long strikes at the underside to cut off the risk. So theoretically, if GDXJ makes another jump to 50, while I would be stopped at a certain maximum loss here, because I did an undefined risk trade on this one, the loss could be even greater, down whatever that number is in this drawing. So it's undefined, but the benefits of it is that you get a lot more premium because you don't need to spend the money that you're making to buy that short or that strike, that long strike here. So your chart here goes up, you get more premium at the onset, your break-even points go further out on either direction, and it's also a little bit easier to manage, and it's also more worthwhile to manage than a defined risk trade because you have more flexibility when you're only moving one contract leg around. So I have a good understanding of my process. Again, engineer, I need to know every step of the way. I need to have my checklist ready. So I know what to do when things go awry. They haven't yet, and I'm good. I'm happy about that. But this is going to be the 4 positions that I really start looking at as I'm just getting into this platform, kind of getting my feet wet and continuing to educate myself. But as you can see, we're up a whole $12. So go home and write to all your friends. That's a 0.12% if I did the math right, or that's not 1.2%. Yeah, 0.12%. So nothing too amazing yet, but again, we're playing the long game. I have $8,700 of my $10,000 in cash sitting there, not tied up in any margin, not tied up in anything else. So this is my time to take it slow, educate myself, educate you guys along the way. I know we kind of ran through this rather quickly, and because primarily I want to make sure that this is working correctly. I want to get some feedback from you guys on what you'd like to see in these videos. Again, going back to what you see out there in different channels and different places, they're great, and I love the education you get. But there's a level of transparency that's just not there, and it almost turned me off from even pursuing this. And I really do think that there's something to this options trading. I really do think this is a way to use leverage in an intelligent way without having to buy real estate and get your hands dirty. I'm not that type of guy, but there's a way to leverage your information, leverage your time in a way that can pay off exponentially. So that's what I'm going after in a safe and secure way. So that's that. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you catch this after the live airing, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. If this works for you, what type of information you'd be looking for during these little nightly reviews. And again, I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm going to try to do these around 8 o'clock at night, so Eastern Standard Time. So I will see you guys next one, and good luck out there.
I didn't get any kind of alert.
How do I turn this thing? Oh, it's over here.
I don't see it on your channel yet.